I had a client of mine last year. He came in, his name is Adam. He always wanted to buy a 427 Ford FE engine to put in his 67 Mustang. From a dream engine that he wanted to buy, it turned out to be a big nightmare for us. I had a client of mine last year. He came in, his name is Adam. He always wanted to buy a 427 Ford FE engine to put in his 67 Mustang. So I ended up finding one on Kijiji from Ontario that was for sale, and it was rebuilt and had a 6-pack on it or a 6-barrel or whatever. It doesn't matter. So he bought this engine, and then he said he wanted to put on a dynamometer before he installs it in his car. So the day when he came and he brought it here to me, he wanted to ask me, he says, Nick, can you just take a look over and see what this engine has? But he came with this intake manifold that had 3 carburetors, and I wasn't, you know, it didn't come from Ford. It had an intake and it had 3 Rochester carburetors that didn't belong to this intake manifold. So then he decided to tear it down. He asked me, Nick, tear it down, I want to see what this motor has. So eventually I tore it down, then I've asked him to come by to take a look. First of all, the engine was supposed to be 30 overbore. And after measuring the bore and the cylinders, I found out that the engine is 40 overbore with a 6 to 7 thou piston to wall clearance with this hypothetic pistons. Now that I've torn it down, he found that the engine was 40 over, and he was not happy at all because he was told it was 30 over. And of course, what he knows from his research on Ford, that people were telling him on forum with him, saying that any FE 427 engine should not be over 30 bore, overbore, should not be overbore 30, more than that, because the cylinders are pretty thin. So after we've taken it apart, I took a sonic test and I measured all the 8 cylinders on the thrust side. Yes, they were not too thick, but 2 of them were very, very thin. So we decided to stay with the engine, and we're going to take a chance building it with the 40 oversize. We had 2 cylinders replaced because the piston, the cylinder wall was too thin. So we had 2 sleeves installed. Then we had to get a set of new rings. And at the same time, what I realized, when he had 8 new pistons in there, that crankshaft was not balanced. So we also removed the crank, looked at it, and we also realized that he had used bearings. So anyways, from a dream engine that he wanted to buy, it turned out to be a big nightmare for us because, you know, we found used bearings. We found out it was a 40 overbore. We found out the engine was not balanced. The other heads that he had on were very, very opened up, ported out to the max. It was also rusty cylinder, rusty chambers, but it doesn't matter. It turned out to be a nightmare. So we tore out the whole thing and started from scratch. So we ended up putting 2 new sleeves. We honed the cylinders. We put new rings. We put new bearings. We also had the engine balanced. And then we had it put together with the new intake manifold made by Eldeblock. And at the same time, now that I had the engine parked for a while, I couldn't find headers for his cylinder heads. So a month ago, he came by and he goes, Nick, I'm going to buy another set of cylinder heads from a 428 Corba FE and throw them on this. He brought them into me. Boy, what another nightmare. He brought the heads, were so badly rusted. He had broken studs. He had we had to use a punch with a hammer to knock out the valves, and we had to start a complete valve job. We finally got the heads on the engine. We finally got a set of headers for the 428 Corba jet heads, which are on right now. And I finally got on the dynamometer after 1 year. My customer is not looking for power. He's looking to see if this engine will hold. Rule number one, the cylinders are thin. He's got too much piston to wall clearance. We don't have much of a choice. We said, you know, we both agree, let's take a chance and build it and see how it goes. You know, he had no choice. He didn't have another engine to start with. He spent a fortune on it. He goes, Nick, you know what? It is what it is. Let's get it going in the dyno and see what happens. So I'm just about to get it started. All I did was prime the engine on the engine stand. So I had good oil pressure. So all I want to do now is I wanted to put in the distributor and I need to break in the cam. It's got a brand new cam in there. And I had the rockers installed, adjusted. I primed the engine. We've had it installed in the dynamometer here, as you can see. So now I just want to put my distributor, which I just found my top dead center. So I want to continue putting this together so I can get it started. So we got to run it for 2200 RPM for 20 minutes, breaking the cam. And then after that, we'll see if it's going to hold. You know, if I would have had his engine installed on the dynamometer before I taken it apart, I would have been for sure something would have went loose, because we had the engine was rebuilt by someone else, and we found used bearings inside the engine. We also found that the chambers of the cylinder heads and some parts of the valve guides were rusty. And we had the carburetors that didn't want to work with this setup that he brought, so we got rid of all that. And the most important thing is I noticed that he had 8 new pistons in it, and the connector rods or the crankshaft were not balanced whatsoever. So we tore it down and had it balanced completely. We honed the cylinders, we put new rings, and we had to do all that to be you know, more safer to run this engine. So I have some confidence in it. The only thing I don't have confidence in too much is the thin cylinder walls. And I had some people I spoke to on some people on Ford engines that told me, Nick, you're on the border, yes or no. If you're gonna rev it very, very high, it could be risky. But as a driver, it should do the job. So I don't know where I stand right now. It's a toss-up. So my customer told me, let's go along with it and take it from there. So I haven't started yet. I'm going to start it now in a minute. And I wanted to say, my client also told me, Nick, you know, I'm not really looking for horsepower. I just want to have a simple 427 driver in my 67 Mustang. And I just hope that this engine holds together, because I know he's got a lot of piston wall clearance. And we've got 2 sleeves in it. He's got high periodic pistons, nothing wrong with that. But bottom line is, he wanted to put on the dynamometer, and I wanted to run it hot, rev it up a little bit, and I want to see if it will hold up. Question is, will it or will it not? You know, a lot of engines that put on the dynamometer, I look for horsepower and torque. And this is the first time, in this case, I am putting an engine on the dynamometer to see if it will hold up. I'm going to keep looking at the oil to make sure it stays nice and gold, not white or gray, because when it starts turning gray or white, we know we're going to have issues with the cylinders. Or maybe they might crack, or from the heat, or from the vibrations when I rev it up. I don't know. So there might be a 5% chance that something might not hold in this engine. But I'll take a chance. Let's get it running. Let's get it warmed up. Let's break in the cam. And let's do the test. I have a new dipstick on order, but in the meantime, I'm using this dipstick that came with the motor. It's all beaten up, but you know what? This is my concern. The engine oil is nice and clean, but if it turns gray or white, we know we have a water leak, or cylinder damage, or cylinder cracking. I don't know. So, but in my case, I got to put the dipstick in so I can get some readings later on. I'm just putting it in temporarily because we have a new one on order. I did not receive it yet. I don't know what's taking so long. With this pandemic going on, I have a lot of my parts coming in very late. There we go. Okay. Let me put my power on. I gotta put the computer on so I can crank it over. You see if I'm on top dead center. I've marked my number 1 here, it should be here. Take the compression stroke. This is my number 1. Let me see if I have this exactly where I want it. Let's put our mark on it. There we go, we're almost there. Okay, good. Here we are. I'm just gonna crank it over a bit. I wanna make sure, there we go. Top dead center. See, it's pointing that way, so I know it's the compression stroke. Okay, my number one is, cylinder number one is on that side, which is right here. Here we go. And here's number one. Ooh, it's way off. There. Okay. Let me lock it there. You know, my customer and myself, we decided to stay with this 427 because the 427 block is rare from Ford. It's a unique block. It's very rare. It's not a top oiler or it's not a side oiler. It's just a top oiler, and they're very rare to come by. So we decided to work with it and go with it. So this is the reason why he wanted to stay with it, because I've asked him, he has so many Ford engines on the market that he could have used, but his thing was the 427. That's what he wanted for 67. This is what he has, and that's why we agreed to go with it. Gotta put the timing light on. I got the firing order, compression stroke, firing order, number one, coil, the plug, gas. Let's check for gas leaks. If by any chance, if the cylinders crack for any reason, the water level on the engine is going to start dropping. So we're just going to follow this water level right here. You see it going up and down? So when we see this drop, then we know the water is going in the engine block. That's when we start checking the dipstick to see if it turns gray. So this is going to be a little sign telling us if we're in the right direction or not with this motor. And this distributor, we are not using a vacuum advance on it. This is the way it's going to operate on the car. Anyways, let's see how it goes. It has an early advance with the early RPM. It's fixed that way. I'm hoping to be around 30 degrees or so for breaking it in. Roughly, you know, just breaking the cam for 20 minutes at 2200 RPM. Make sure the oil pressure stays there. I'm gonna have my thermostat at 160, 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Will it hold? That's my concern, will it hold? Well, you know what, we're gonna have to do some heating up, revving up to see if it's gonna hold. You know, maybe breaking in the cam will not do the job. We're gonna have to rev it high for a few times. And I don't know what the limit's gonna be. We don't know. Let's get it going, let's see how it goes. I think I got everything. Check out the exhaust, how funny. This took me a while to set up with my friend Manny. My friend came here the other day and helped me set up the exhaust. Took us a while. And it's so high, look how high it is on this side. I want to make sure it's got no wires too close to it. I don't want to burn any wires. After all, the exhaust system gets hot. Okay, I think we're good. Let me check everything else. This goes here. You got a vacuum connection. I don't need any breathers or PCV valves yet. Doesn't matter, we're just checking for mechanicals. That's all I care right now. We're not tuning it for power. We're tuning it to see if this engine will last. Okay, I'm gonna run in and out to check the timing. Here goes. Ignition, fuel pump. Okay, it should start in one shot.
The old 427 starts up without scattering itself all over Nick's dyno room. But he doesn't like the sound coming from under those valve covers.
I wonder when the last time this engine ran, I don't know how many years or whatever. It's a 1967 427 Ford. Pressure is good. Want to run it for 20 minutes just to break in the cap. I've got the rockers touching the valve cover. Got a bezel or something, a shield, and I realize it's noisy because of that. But anyway, that's later on to see what it is. Right now, let's finish breaking in the cam. Oil pressure is good, temperature is good, we're good.
apart from the awful noise, the break-in would seem to be going according to plan. No excessive vibrations, no oil leaks, and good pressure.
Take off the valve covers later on because the rockers are touching the valve covers. But in the meantime, let me give it a little bit at its pace. So far so good. Water pressure is good. The water is stable. I haven't lost anything. We'll check the dipstick later on. So far, so good. Okay, so looks like we haven't lost any water. Everything went so good. Okay, that's good. Let me check the dipstick if it did not turn gray. But then again, we haven't put it to the pace yet, so oh, looks good so far. Anyways, question is, I'm gonna have to remove the valve covers because the rockers are touching the valve cover for some reason. I know they've got a baffle plate on top of the valve cover. They seem to be very low. So anyways, I'm gonna let it cool down for a few minutes and when I remove the valve cover and see what we've got. I'm just curious to see what's wrong with the valve covers. And you know they're factory rockers. I believe they're factory valve covers. Usually factory valve covers are right powered by Ford. In this case, we have nothing written, so I don't know who made these valve covers. Maybe you viewers might know, but me, I know that this is not normal for the valve train to be touching the valve cover. But I'm sure it's the shield that's very, very big inside the valve cover. You can see it, it goes very deep. But you know what? Removing the valve cover, we're going to see where the rockers were touching the valve cover. So here we go. Let's take it off and find out. Wow, there it is. It's been hitting the valve cover there. So anyways, we're gonna fix that.
These valve covers won't be staying with the engine anyway. But the noise they were making may have been concealing another problem.
Look at that. See, every one of them is tight, except this one. Look at that. That should be filled with oil right now. Oh. That lifter is not filling up with oil. See that? The rest are all done. Perfect. Look at that. Look at that one. Oh, wow. That's funny. Look at this. It should have been hard as a rock. It's a hydraulic flat tappet cam, and it is a block designed for hydraulic lifters from what I noticed in the back. But this one here, see, this one here didn't hold any oil. The rest are not too bad, but this one here is a little bit down, look. But this one I gotta put effort on it. Okay, but that one there, nothing. Here we go, I'm gonna check if they all go up and down. That's funny. That's funny. Strange. Now all the lifters, this one and that one. The rest, they're good. Oh well. Let me fix this first of all. There, right there. I'll tap it. I don't know if it's going with these valve covers or not. I'm just gonna make the dent a little bit bigger there. But the lifter, these two lifters, this one is nothing and this one's very little. This one here, look. You know what, I don't think it needs more working time. I'm not sure, I don't think so. But maybe I should just let it run longer and see how it goes. That's usually, you know, sometimes a block maybe is not designed for hydraulic lifters, or this lifters are not designed with this block. I'm gonna find out sooner or later, but I got two lifters here that this one is dead. And this one here, the rest are good. Why need that one? I'm just gonna make some clearance on it, I'll be right back. Okay. We're just gonna heat it up a little bit. They're all set valve covers. Okay, Devin, you hold the cover. I'm gonna heat it up. Wow, it dug through it all right. You know what? I'll leave it like that. Let's try it. It cracked a little bit, but you know what? I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned about noises. Okay. I don't think it's going with these valve covers. I think it's going with the Cobra cast aluminum valve covers. All right, let's put this on and then try the other side. Yeah, you want to put the hose away from here? I don't know if I should rev it up the way it is now, I'm not sure. Let's make it idle, see what if the noises go away, okay? Okay. It's already dug through it. It already dug through it. Look, it's right through it. See, metal hole right through it. Doesn't matter, I'm just gonna make a dent. I'm gonna bang on the valve cover. I just wanna make a little dink in it. Yeah, I just took it off for a running engine on the dynamometer.
Definitely warmer than it is outside.
Wow, it's horrible weather outside, eh? Winter's here, buddy. Every time, eh?
Every single time.
We should be wearing goggles.
We should be.
I know, it's just a few seconds. There. Let's see what we got here.
And when Nick checks out the lifters on the other side of the engine, there's more bad news waiting for him.
Yeah, why? With that one and this one? Why? This one just a bit. You know what? Let's get it started. Let it idle. I want to hear there's any rocker noises happening. Maybe need time to fill up. I'm not sure, but 20 minutes of what we just did should have filled up the. I've got one very loose on each side, and I've got one that's a little bit loose on this side, one a little bit loose on the other side. You know what? I hear the noises from the valve cover ticking on the rocker. So let's eliminate that. I want to get it running again on idle and see what we've got. I don't want to abuse it. I don't want to do any damage. I want to find out why those forward lifters don't have any pressure whatsoever. So let me put the valve covers on. We'll start her up, let it idle. First of all, let's eliminate the noise from the valve cover. All right, so I've got two lifters that are practically empty. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the engine. I wanna hear if there's any valve train noises because I know two rockers are hitting the valve covers. So let's get it started and we'll take it slowly. Okay, I gotta look into this right now. Let's see what's going on. We have good oil pressure. That's my concern. If the other lifters are working, then those two should work also. Okay, let's go. That's good. Quiet. This one's much noisier. The other side is much quieter. This side's noisy, but I'm gonna let it work a while. I got good oil pressure on idle. So I'll let it work for a while, we'll see what happens. before I go anywhere. Let me go look at the hydraulic lifters on my comp book. This is the cam lifters that came with the engine, but you know what? Let's take a look and see what we've got. Okay, let's go. Wow. I'm looking at my comp book. I found the cam he's got there. And now I'm looking for a number for lifters from comp cam to correspond with that cam. I just realized it says NA, not available. So I think they need special lifters for this motor. I have no idea. This is the cam I took out. These are the same lifters I put in. Same cam. I know it's a comp cam. It's a 33-238-4. Hydraulic flat tappet. Made for 352 to 428 cubic inch from 63 to 1977. And I can't seem to find a lifter number. It says not available. That's cool. I'm gonna have to do some research on this before I go any further testing it. I guess it's not safe to continue because I have a couple of lifters that don't take any oil. Some do, some don't, but I have to do some research on the lifters. Sorry I couldn't make any tests with it at the moment, but at the meantime, let me do some more study into it. And I realized that even though when I primed the engine, most of the lifters got hardened when I had it on the engine stand when I primed it. But those two lifters in the front seem to never want to work. So for some reason, both first lifters on both sides. I put back the same cam lifters. They were all brand new. And I realized that some of the lifters are not getting filled up with oil. Are they the wrong model? I don't know. Maybe they're not designed for that block? I don't know. So I'm going to do some research on it. And now that we've broken in the cam, I can see that they're not filling up with oil. So we're going to have to do some further search. Till next time. And I'll let you guys know what the results are. But in the meantime, let me do my homework, see it, see how it goes, and I want to make sure nothing goes wrong. And the good news is, this is still one piece, so that's good. That's a good start.
So rather than risk the old 427 with any further testing today, Nick begins his search for some new lifters. And it doesn't take long. 3 days later, the engine is back together, and the client is in the control room to see whether or not his dream engine will turn out to be a nightmare.
Here we go. Still good. Everything's good. So let's see what we've got. Here we go. Let's put on the graph. Here we pulled out 442 torque, and our horsepower is at 376. Right in here is the temperature, the water temperature, and our power is right here, 376 at 5100.
So the old lifters will be going into the metal recycling bin. And Adam's dream 427 will be going into his 1967 Mustang. Another dream come true at Nick's garage.
And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.